Airstrikes may be needed to kill AI before it kills us. Yes, indeed. An article in Time magazine just recently by Eliezer Yudkowski. You're thinking, well, who the hell is this guy? I don't know any Eliezer Yudkowski. Well, no, you don't, but you probably should, and maybe in time you will. Yudkowski has been researching and studying, developing AI since 2001. He is sometimes referred to as the father of modern AI. So this is a guy who knows his apples and oranges. Well, this article comes on foot of an open letter which is circulating at the moment, signed by many prominent scientists and researchers, calling for a moratorium, a 6-month moratorium on AI research after GPT-4. GPT-4 is the current, well, it's not fully released. I myself have been playing with it. I've got into the beta program, and it is an upscaling of GPT-3, which is what most people would be familiar with. Now, it does essentially the same thing, it just does it a lot better, a lot faster, it's more precise. And I can tell you, having tricked around with it and played with it, it is, we're into pretty scary stuff. And I know the theory is, look, it's just numbers, just words, it doesn't know what it's doing, it's not alive, and I get all that, and I do get all that completely, but it is uncanny. It is uncanny what this thing can churn out with little to no input. You can give it the most crazy, weird, convoluted question, and it will give you back volumes of response. It's uncanny what it can do. Honestly, it is, and I can say that from personal experience. Now, this Eliezer Yudkowski has written an article in Time magazine, no small publication, in which he has said, look, we may already be too late. If this thing gets loose, then it's over. It's over for all of us.
What? What the fuck?
And that is a pretty staggering statement and pretty sobering to even contemplate. He's even said we may need airstrikes to airstrike hubs, computer hubs, just to try and kill it, and it may not do any good. So what's this all about? Is it scaremongering? Is it just another guy in the village square howling at the moon? Well, let's find out. We'll go on over here to the Time magazine, to the meat and bones of this thing, the actual research, the actual article by Eliezer Yudkowski. As Time magazine says, he's a decision theorist from the US and leads research at the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. He's been working at aligning artificial intelligence since 2001 and is widely regarded as the founder of the field. An open letter published today calls for, quote, all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. They're already on to the next one, and even some people I've read, even some of the people working on GPT-5 are expressing concerns about what it may signify, what it may be able to do. At the moment, GPT-4 it's a closed system. What I mean by that is it's trained up, and it's trained up as far as 2021. It's not hooked up live to the internet. It's trained extensively, and the things it can do are just simply astounding. But it's not connected. It's still in a box. The next iteration, they feel, will be letting it have access to the full internet. And that is where things get a bit scary, because once AI starts teaching itself, which it's already doing, once it can create another AI that's better than itself, then the thing just this is Yudkowski's basic point, the thing just gets out of hand real fast. Now, let's read on and see if we can make some sense out of this. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but it'll give you the gist of what this guy is saying. And he knows his stuff. This guy is in at the ground floor. He is one of the foremost guys in the field. And I'm not saying he's There aren't other guys in the field arguing against him, but this guy carries weight. He knows what he's talking about. So, and I, having used the product myself, I can tell you here and now, it's a scary thing. You can say all you want about, it doesn't know what it's doing, and it's just numbers and text, just strings of decimal points and letters, and doesn't know what it is. Yeah, you can say that all you want, but I've been using it, and it's uncanny, it's unnerving. Right, so this 6-month moratorium would be better than no moratorium. This is Yudkowski. I have respect for everyone who stepped up and signed it. It's an improvement on the margin. I refrain from signing it. He didn't sign it himself. I refrain from signing because I think the letter is understating the seriousness of the situation and asking for too little to solve it. So that's a bad start. The key issue is not human competitive intelligence, as the open letter puts it. It's what happens after AI gets to smarter than human intelligence. Key thresholds there may not be obvious. We definitely can't calculate in advance what happens when, and it currently seems imaginable, that a research lab would cross critical lines without even noticing. Many researchers steeped in these issues, including myself, expect that the most likely result of building a superhumanly smart AI under anything remotely like the current circumstances is that literally everyone on Earth will die. Not as in maybe, possibly, some remote chance, but as in that is the obvious thing that would happen. It's not that you can't, in principle, survive creating something much smarter than you. It's that it would require precision and preparation and new scientific insights, and probably not having AI systems composed of giant, inscrutable arrays of fractional numbers. Without that precision and preparation, the most likely outcome is AI that does not what we want and does not care for us, nor for sentient life in general. That kind of caring is something that could, in principle, be imbued into AI, but we are not ready and do not currently know how. Absent that caring, we get the AI does not love you, nor does it hate you, and you are made of atoms it can use for something else. That's it. It just sees you as a collection of atoms.
Shocking.
That's what you basically, you're dealing with a psychopath. There's no empathy, there's no sympathy, there's no emotion. It doesn't love you, it doesn't hate you. It's just, you're just there, you're just a thing. So that's the problem here. If AI gets real smart and gets smarter and smarter much faster than any of us can teach it or even control it, then at what point does it say, listen, these things moving around here, they've got atoms that could be better used. So why don't I just redistribute the atoms? Essentially, that's what I'm hearing here, and that's not good. The likely result of humanity facing down an opposed superhuman intelligence is a total loss. Valid metaphors include a 10-year-old trying to play chess against Stockfish 15, the 11th century trying to fight the 21st century. To visualize a hostile superhuman AI, don't imagine a lifeless, book-smart, thinking dweller inside the internet and sending ill-intentioned emails. Visualize an entire alien civilization, thinking at millions of times human speed, initially confined to computer, in a world of creatures that are, from its perspective, very stupid and very slow. A sufficiently intelligent AI won't stay confined to computers for long. In today's world, you can email DNA strings to laboratories that will produce proteins on demand. Allowing an AI initially confined to the internet to build artificial life forms, or bootstrap straight to post-biological molecular manufacturing. So, if it gets smart enough and it's got access to all this internet information, you can just send out emails to humans to do different things. Maybe it has access to money. Maybe it'll pay them. Maybe it can give them crypto coins or whatever else it will be able to amass. You can pay people to do anything, really. If somebody builds a too powerful AI under present conditions, I expect that every single member of the human species and all biological life on Earth dies shortly thereafter.
Are you serious?
There's no proposed plan for how we would do any such thing and survive. OpenAI's openly declared intention is to make some future AI do our AI alignment homework. Just hearing that, this is the plan, ought to be enough to get any sensible person to panic. We're going to get AI to police itself, essentially. The other leading AI lab, DeepMind, has no plan at all. That's disconcerting. I'd be remiss in my moral duties as a human if I didn't also mention that we have no idea how to determine whether AI systems are aware of themselves. Since we have no idea how to decode anything that goes on in the giant inscrutable arrays, and therefore we may at some point inadvertently create digital minds which are truly conscious and ought to have rights and shouldn't be owned. We're delving in things that we simply don't understand. We're kind of setting off chain reactions that we don't fully know where they go. And we may, according to Yudkowski, we won't be able to control them. They'll just get ahead of us, and that'll be the end of it. The rule that most people aware of these issues would have endorsed 50 years earlier was that if an AI system can speak fluently and says it's self-aware and demands human rights, that ought to be a hard stop on people just casually owning that AI and using it past that point. At that point, it becomes essentially a person, or person-ish. We already blew past that, says Yudkowski. We already blew past that old line in the sand. That's way in the distance, way past that. And that was probably correct. I agree that current AIs are probably just imitating talk of self-awareness from their training data. But I mark that how little insight we have into these systems' internals, we do not actually know. So Yudkowski saying that we're already at the point where the boffins don't fully understand what's going on in the box. Things are happening, and sometimes things they didn't predict are happening, and they don't know why.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
To me, that's a red flag. When you get to that point, maybe you should cool your jets a bit. Maybe. Anyway, let's read on. If that's our state of ignorance for GPT-4, and GPT-5 is the same size of giant capability step as from GPT-3 to GPT-4, I think we'll no longer to be able to justifiably say, probably not self-aware. Probably not. If we let people make GPT-5s, it'll just be, I don't know, nobody knows. If you can't be sure whether you're creating a self-aware AI, this is alarming not just because of the moral implications of the self-aware part, but because being unsure means you have no idea what you're doing. And it's dangerous, and you should stop, says Yudkowski. And I have to say I agree with him. On February 7th, Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, publicly gloated that the new Bing would make Google, quote, come out and show that they can dance. I want people to know that we made them dance, he said. This is not how the CEO of Microsoft talks in the sane world. It shows an overwhelming gap between how seriously we're taking the problem and how seriously we needed to take the problem starting 30 years ago. We're not going to bridge that gap in 6 months. This is the letter, the 6 months moratorium. He's saying, look, the horse is bolted. 6 months get you nowhere. It took more than 60 years between when the notion of artificial intelligence was first proposed in studies and for us to reach today's capabilities. Solving safety of superhuman intelligence, not perfect safety in the sense of not killing literally everyone, could very reasonably take at least half that long. That's what, just to program the thing not to kill us, or to write the coding, or to write the parameters that wouldn't mean it inadvertently killing us. So this is what I'm getting from this whole thing. Could reasonably take half that long. The thing about trying this with superhuman intelligence is that if you get it wrong on the first try, you do not get to learn from your mistakes because you're dead. Humanity does not learn from the mistake and dust itself off and try again, as in other challenges we've overcome in our history, because we're all gone. And if you know anything about the scientific method, there's a lot of experimentation, a lot of trying things, you build a rocket, it flies off to the left and crashes. So you say, okay, we redesigned that part, that went wrong. And then it runs out of fuel and falls, and okay, we didn't put enough fuel in it. But with this AI thing, if you get it wrong on the first go, it's over. You don't get another go. You don't get another try. Trying to get anything right on the first really critical try is an extraordinary ask in science and engineering. We are not coming in with anything like the approach that we were required to do it successfully. We are not prepared. We are not on course to be prepared in any reasonable time window. There is no plan. Progress in AI capabilities is running vastly ahead of progress in AI in alignment, or even progress in understanding what the hell is going on inside those systems. If we actually do this, we're all going to die. Many researchers working on these systems think that we're plunging toward a catastrophe, with more of them daring to say it in private than in public. But they think that they can't unilaterally stop the plunge forward. That others will go on even if they personally quit their jobs, and so they all think they might as well keep going. This is a stupid state of affairs and an undignified way for Earth to die. The rest of humanity ought to step up in at this point and help the industry solve its collective problem. Some of my friends have recently reported to me that when people outside the AI industry hear about extinction risk from artificial general intelligence, for the first time their reaction is, maybe we should not build AGI then. Hearing this gave me a tiny flash of hope, because it's a simpler, more sensible and frankly saner reaction than I've been hearing over the past 20 years of trying to get anybody in the industry to take things seriously. Anyone talking that sanely deserves to hear how bad the situation actually is, and not be told that a 6-month moratorium is going to fix it. If there was a plan for Earth to survive, if only we passed a 6-month moratorium, I would back that plan. There isn't any such plan. Here's what would actually need to be done. The moratorium on the new large training runs needs to be indefinite and worldwide, as in stop training new AIs. Stop doing it. There can be no exceptions, including for governments or militaries. If the policy starts with the US, then China needs to see that the US is not seeking an advantage, but rather trying to prevent a horrifically dangerous technology which can have no true owner and which will kill everyone in the US and China and on Earth. Shut down all the large GPU clusters, the large computer farms where the most powerful AIs are refined. Shut down all the large training runs. Put a ceiling on how much computing power anyone is allowed to use in training an AI system, and move it downward over the coming years to compensate for more efficient training algorithms. No exceptions for governments or militaries. Make immediate multinational agreements to prevent the prohibited activities from moving elsewhere. So it can't just move off to the island of Tahiti and we'll just do the same there. Or North Korea, or Burkina Faso, or whatever government is prepared to put up whatever billions to keep it going, thinking there's a pot of gold at the end of this. Can't be any of that, according to Yudkowski. No exceptions for governments or militaries. Right, track all GPUs sold. If intelligence says that a country outside the agreement is building a GPU cluster, be less scared of a shooting conflict between nations than of the moratorium being violated. Be willing to destroy a rogue data center by airstrike. If you have to, send in the F-15s, blow it the hell out of there. Yeah, that's what he's saying. Frame nothing as a conflict between national interests. Have it clear that anyone talking of arms races is a fool. That we all live or die as one in this. It's not a policy, but a fact of nature. Make it explicit in international diplomacy that preventing AI extinction scenario is considered a priority above preventing a full-scale nuclear exchange. It's even more catastrophic than that prospect. So that's saying something. And that allied nuclear countries are willing to run some risk of nuclear exchange if that's what it takes to reduce the risk of large AI training runs. That's how scared he is. Shut it all down. We're not ready. We are not on track to be significantly readier in the foreseeable future. If we go ahead on this, everyone will die including children who did not choose this and did not do anything wrong. Well, if that doesn't give you pause for thought, I really don't know what to tell you. And I've watched, having read this article and being genuinely interested in the whole AI situation, as I'm kind of tinkering around with it, not in any deep or meaningful way, but it's unnerving what it can do and how it does it. It's unnerving, and it even using it it gives you kind of goosebumps at some of the stuff that it spits out, and how realistic it is, and how coherent it is, and how seemingly intelligent it is. So, if we've come this far, this fast, and we're at the point where the people actually doing it are starting to lose the threads of what's going on, or they don't fully understand what's going on, and we're on the cusp, as we seem to be, of training an AI, an artificial intelligence, to create an even better artificial intelligence, then where are the humans in this? We barely understand the one we have. Now we're going to get the one we have to make a better version of itself, which obviously will be a self-fulfilling continuous loop, I imagine. And then humans, at what point does it decide, look, I don't know why I have these things running around. They were kind of handy and useful at the start for carrying stuff, but now really it's a waste of atoms. I could be using those atoms to do much more productive stuff, as it would see it. At which time, unfortunately for the human species, and probably every other living species, it's sorry, it'll be a case of time's up. There is no more.